Hey, Xiomy here. So today I wanted to do my June wrap up. Now I had a goal to read 8 books for the month of June. Unfortunately, I failed at my own reading challenge. But anyways, I did read a couple of books that I'm really excited for, and I can't believe it's already July. It's like June just swept by. But anyways, without further ado, let's get into this wrap up. So the first book that I read for the month of June was This Savage Song by Victoria Schwab. This was a buddy read with one of my dear friends, and I have to admit that I enjoyed this book so much. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. The world building, the writing, the main characters, everything was just so entertaining and so thrilling, and it just immersed me so much into this world that I just could not stop reading it. It was just that enjoyable. If you don't know what This Savage Song is about, it's basically that you have a dystopian world and you have Verity, which is the city that they live in, and it has been divided into the north and the south, and you have Kate and you have August, which are their two main characters, and I really did enjoy their interaction. And I also love the world building, how you have these 3 different monsters that have manifested over certain things that have happened in the world. I'm not going to tell you which they are because obviously of spoilers, but you do have the Sunai, you have the Malachite, and you have the Korsai, and those were very interesting details as to how, you know, they manifested. And once August and Kate's lives intertwine, everything is just an adventure filled book, and I loved everything, you know, how the fact that, you know, you have to work with your enemy, you side with your enemy, and you know how everything is also falling apart in the world that they live in, because it's basically that the north and the south are at fuse with one another, and everything was just really interesting. And I can't wait for the second book, but I highly suggest for you to read it just because of that. The world building, the writing, and the main characters are just simply on point, and everything about it just made me want to continue reading it and not stop. The next book that I picked up was Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban by J.K. Rowling. I enjoyed this book so freaking much. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Because the second book I really didn't enjoy that much, I really, you know, was lacking in picking up the series again, but I was like, you know what, let me just continue it, and I picked this one up and I was just marveled by it. It was just so entertaining, and you also have that eerie sense to it being brought into the book with the Dementors, and I thought that was a really great addition. Also that the Voldemort card wasn't being played again, because in the first one and the second book, Voldemort, and I was like, okay, you can just take so much of it after it becomes boring. But I really did enjoy it. In this one, it took that twist to it, and I love Sirius and Lupin. Those are my 2 characters that I really did enjoy. And I also am glad that I finally know what the Marauders map is and what Mischief Manage is. You know, there's a lot of things that I'm really excited about that I actually learned, and this book really did intrigue me to continue in this series, so that's why I really did enjoy it so much. The next one that I read was Vasa and the Night by Sarah Porter. I don't know how I feel about this book yet, but it was enjoyable, but not so much as something that I fell in love with. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I have to admit that the first 70 pages were really weird. I mean, this book is weird, weird as heck. But the one thing that I can say is that I was glad when I finished it, because there were a lot of things that to me dragged and I really didn't care about. But you know, I didn't stop reading it because I wanted to know what was the ending of it. I wanted to know how everything was going to wrap up. And even though they do speak in riddles, I really did enjoy a lot of notions of this book, and I did enjoy the doll, which is Erg. I thought it was an okay reading experience, just not what I was expecting from it. I don't know really what I was expecting from it, but the things that I did read, I enjoyed it, so that's why I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. It's not too disappointing, but I'm okay with it. Continuing with the Harry Potter books, I picked up Goblet of Fire, and I'm really conflicted with this book. I give it 4 out of 5 stars. There were some things that I enjoyed, some things that really did annoy me. Unfortunately, the things that really did annoy me are spoiler related, so I'm going to link my Goodreads review down below just in case you're interested in checking that out. But I really have to admit that I enjoyed the introduction of the new schools. You know, their arrival was something that was very different, because, you know, in the back of my mind I was like, there has to be other schools, and it was quite enjoyable to see them arriving. That was something that was like, oh my god, that was just brilliant. I really did enjoy the Quidditch World Cup. I loved the Velas fighting with the leprechauns. It was just, you know, priceless. I really did enjoy also the Triwizard Tournament, also that Dobby and Sirius were introduced again. Finally knowing what is the Dark Mark and what are the Dark Eaters, those are things that I'm really finally picking up on, because when a lot of people spoke about Harry Potter, I was like, okay, what the hell is that? And finally getting to know these details is something that I find quite enjoyable, because, you know, I'm getting on this bandwagon. One thing that I can say that really did annoy me was the fact that, you know, Hermione's treatment is one that I was really annoyed by, and also certain adults telling certain things to Harry, and I'm like, Also, Harry Potter's pride is something that really did annoy me. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say too many details, but there were a lot of things that really did annoy me about this book. But overall, a lot of things were entertaining, and I am going to continue because I want to know how is it that everything does wrap up. The next book that I picked up was Daughter of the Pirate King by Trisha Levenseller. I really did enjoy this book. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I even did 5 reasons to read this book, and it is spoiler free related, so if you want to check it out, I will link it down below. But I loved everything about it. You have a fierce, badass pirate woman who's just enjoyable, and you know, the adventures that she's being thrusted into is something that I really did enjoy. But if you don't know what Daughter of the Pirate King is that you have basically Alosa, and she is daughter of the Pirate King, and she goes into this mission one day to retrieve this map, but she also gets captured by her enemies, and that's where everything just begins. You have adventure from beginning to end, and you have so many details that are happening that I'm not going to say because of spoilers, so that's why I can't say too many things. I can say that Alosa does have a secret, and that you also have your other main character who is also mysterious. You can't quite like picture him too much. I can't grasp him that much because he does one thing, then he does another, and it's like whatever you had thought about him just completely wipes out, and I'm like, okay boy, decide yourself. But it is a very entertaining, fun, adventure-packed book that's also empowering because you have your fierce, badass main character, which she also wants to accomplish a lot of things because she does want to be ruthless like her father. But I highly suggest for everybody to read this because it is very enjoyable, and I read it in one sitting, and I never ever do that in a book. And the final book that I'm going to mention is one that I heard in audio format, and that is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I really did enjoy the audiobook. It was just so incredible. 5 out of 5 stars. I'm not going to lower the rating for that. I enjoyed that you have 7 narrators, and you know, their intonation is different, and it was just something that was very enjoyable. Some were more enjoyable than others, that's what I'm going to say, but it was just such an amazing experience hearing it on audio format. I am currently hearing Crooked Kingdoms in audio format. The only issue that I have with it is when Willen speaks for Kaz. It just sounds wrong, completely wrong, and I'm like, oh, like I can't mix it in my mind. But I did learn a couple of things with the audiobook. One, that I pronounced things wrong, and 2, how to pronounce them correctly. I do pronounce some of the names wrong based on the audiobook because I say Willen and they say Wylan. I say Matthias and they say Matthias. So whatever. Am I gonna change it? Maybe not. But it was just very enjoyable to read. Well, those are all the books that I read in the month of June. If I have to pick my favorites, it has to be Daughter of the Pirate King, This Savage Song, and Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Those were my 3 top books that I read for the month, and I really, really did enjoy. If you want to tell me which are the books that you read for the month of June and which was your favorite, then feel free, we'll chit chat down below. But I want to thank you for watching, and until next time, peace.